Good morning, Year 7. It's nice to talk to you again. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos. I do hope you're well and you didn't find the assessment week too difficult and were able to relax last week and over the weekend. I've seen some of your videos as well for Sky Academy and they are truly fantastic, so well done. Now, this week is feedback week. And during this week, I'm actually going to set you a more creative task than normal. Now, a few weeks ago, bought this absolutely wonderful book. Sorry if it's backwards for you. It's called What Happened When in the World. And it's really brilliant. What it is timelines, like you can see on the front there. That's one for the Roman Empire. Timelines set over maps. So they give dates and they show you on the map what happened. So this is one for the Vikings, for example, and you can see that there's sort of specific events explained all over it. But also you can see how the Vikings navigated around the world. We obviously know about them raiding Britain here, but what we haven't been able to study this year is that via seas and rivers and all sorts, the Vikings were trading down into Asia, down to Constantinople, and across into the Americas. They've actually found evidence of Vikings in Newfoundland in near Canada, and now in mainland North America, which is absolutely fascinating. Vikings were amazing people, not just the raiders that we think of. But there's all sorts of fantastic things in here. So this, for example, is a map/timeline of castles across the world. Brilliant. Obviously, as we know, Mr. Jones loves a castle. Here, this one's absolutely wonderful, is a map of the Black Death. Look at all those rats carrying the Black Death across Europe and Asia. Absolutely fascinating. There's others. There's one later on about the Reformation in Europe. So here you can see about Martin Luther. Remember, we learned about Martin Luther's Protestant Reformation that started in Germany, and about Henry VIII as well and his Protestant Reformation in Britain. Also, it points out the Catholic countries, so Germany and Italy and things in red. You can really see across Europe what the Reformation meant for European countries and why it caused so much war. We never got to study the 30 Years' War, but you might have come across it in one of the homework tasks that were on the Cycle D booklet. Absolutely fascinating. Europe was basically on fire through war for about 30, 40 years due to the Protestant Reformation. Anyway, obviously, before Mr. Jones gets excited and goes off in a tangent much more about the 30 Years' War, I probably ought to explain your task for this week. Well, this week, you are going to be creating one of those map timelines. Specifically, yours is going to be a timeline map for the British Isles that summarises everything that we have learned this year. Now, I'm just going to make the camera a little bit smaller before I show you this on Teams, just in case anyone asks. This is my dog, or rather was my dog. So his name was Baloo. He's my background now because, unfortunately, he died recently, and he was very important to me. But he had a very good life. He was 15 or 16 when he died, so he had a good time. He loved beaches, as you can see. Now, on with the task. Now, you're going to go onto Microsoft Teams and you're going to click on History Year 7, because that is our team. You're going to go across to Assignments. And then you're going to click on History, Year 7 History, Feedback and Reflection Task. We'll go on to Student View because that's how you're going to see it. Just thinking about it. Hold on a second, there we go. And you'll see all the instructions here. Now, as it says, your reflection task is to create a timeline map like the ones I just showed you of everything you have learned about British history this year. And on your map, just like some of the examples and an example I'll show you in a minute, you need to include place names, events, and pictures. And as it says, I'm going to tweet the best examples and award house points. Now, that might not sound that exciting, but actually I've got over 1,000 followers on Twitter, teachers, historians, politicians, who would all see your work and would all be able to heap lots of praise on you. So quite a cool thing, actually, if I do tweet your work. Now, you've got a few options for how you create your map timeline. You can either print off Year 7 maps, so that's this second document at the bottom. You can print that off and draw out your map or timeline on there and add all of the things that you want to. If you don't have a printer, you can get a piece of paper and draw out the map. It's just a map of the British Isles and then a bit of Scandinavia where the Vikings were and a bit of northern France. If you really are going to find that tricky, then put your piece of paper on the screen and trace it. But if you are doing that as it says, it's really important that you use a pencil, not a pen, preferably a bit of a blunt pencil, because then you're not going to damage the screen. And you must not press hard. If you press hard, you will break the screen. You need to hold your pencil very lightly and not press hard. Otherwise, Mr. Jones will get in trouble with your parents and guardians for breaking your device. Now, the third option, but probably the worst one, I wouldn't do this if you can avoid it, is to complete your work on Word or Microsoft Teams, editing the map that I've sent you. Now, the reason I say I wouldn't do that is it's going to be a bit tricky. Things will move around. It'll be a bit difficult to do that. But if you must, you can do it that way. Just to show you what it looks like, so the Year 7 map stock just looks like this. It's just a blank map that you can go on and edit. Oh, sorry, I should have shown you while I'm here, just as a reminder, if you can't remember how to edit it on a computer, again, try and avoid it if you can, but click on Edit Document. Edit is the new edit in browser. They've just changed the name. That just means you can edit it on Microsoft Teams or open in desktop app if you have your own version of Word, okay? Now, there are a couple of things to help you. First of all, you can use the internet to help to find out specific dates and things if you can't remember them. You can also click on Files here at the top, and you'll find the workbooks and knowledge organizers in there to help you with specific events or dates that you want to have on your timeline. Obviously, you're watching this video already, but this is helpful. And the final thing that you can do is go and click on Year 7 Maps example. And I've given you an example here of mine. So you'll see I've added a few battles, Battle of Hastings and Battle of Stamford Bridge in 1066, Battle of Naseby during the English Civil War. I've added some Viking ships to show the Vikings raiding Britain and added a date, the first raid in June 793 on Lindisfarne. Now, I reckon you could do a much better job than this. This isn't very detailed. There should be loads more on here, but that's just to give you an example. Okay, so that's what you need to do. To summarize, create a timeline map of everything you have learned about the British history this year. You have until next Monday to complete this, but really you need to be doing this week, so you should be completing it before Friday. If you have drawn out or printed off your maps, then you're going to need to take a photograph with your phone, upload it onto your computer. I'd suggest emailing it to yourself and uploading it that way. And then you can upload it to Microsoft Teams and hand it in. If you're not sure how to do this, click on this video here and I explain how to hand documents saved on your computer onto Teams and how to hand them in to me. Okay? Enjoy.